Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde, Shooter Hunt, and Les Lukach here with the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. Shooter, we're going out to the West Coast this week as we had the SoCal Procase, and of course, we got big-time prospects to talk about.
Yeah, Les has really built this quickly into the marquee event to kick off the draft here. I mean, last year you talk about NorCal, SoCal Procases, more than $10 million in signing bonus. So some real dudes coming out of this thing.
Yeah, there certainly are. So, Les, as always, man, we're stoked to have you on the show.
Dude, man, this is like my biannual stop here at the Coffee and Curveball, so I'm jazzed to be here, guys.
Excellent. Well, let's get into some of these players, starting off with Evan Yates, Caleb Anderson, and Isaiah Muniz. Sounds like these guys, we're not going to call them pop-up guys because obviously they were invited to the event. We knew about them, but it sounds like they really were revelations and kind of won the day there.
Yeah, man, Yates and Anderson, those guys, I think scouts knew about them from scout ball, but Muniz really stood out. Yates is long-armed, loose, just lean body, and same with Anderson. They're all three committed to Cal State Fullerton, ironically enough. And, multiple people on the field said, hey, if these two guys, Yates and Anderson, and then this was before Muniz, if they don't get there, like that's going to be a pretty good deal. And then Muniz came out and just shoved. I mean, dude, he struck out 5 guys, all 5 batters he hit. He did walk 2 in between there, but, dude, He's only 16, Rohde. He doesn't turn 17 till next November.
Make note of that.
Yeah, it looked like they really backspin the baseball. It happens in SoCal. Those guys have great arms, some impressive induced vertical breaks. Had the TrackMan on these guys. Seemed like you had more than 50 scouts there. It seems like it was a packed house, socially distanced packed house, but a lot of scouts.
Yeah, there was, I think the final number was 67. Wow. Obviously several advisors, but it was very well attended from the scout standpoint, man. It's like you said, it's becoming kind of a really good event. A lot of those guys, for them, it was the first time they could get out, and they were just stoked to be out there. But we were appreciative of their attendance. But the players, why they were there, right? And we're going to talk about those guys here.
Yeah. And one of those hitters, a guy who I've really liked in the past, Gabe Darcy, now uncommitted, 21, super physical. Tell us about some of those tools that he showed.
Man, he texted me a couple days before the event and said, hey, are we going to run the 60? And I said, yes. And he just texted back, good. And he comes back, and he comes out, he ran a 6.64, and it was an easy 6.64, if that makes sense, right? It was just, it wasn't stiff, it was natural. Mm-hmm. BP, he was just pounding balls during BP, using all fields. 98-mile exit velo on TrackMan. He threw really well from the outfield, too. It's more in line now. It used to be a little erratic, but it's more in line now. 85 miles per hour out there. Just an awesome dude to be around, man. His personality is great. I love being around that guy.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like scouts will be going back to Beckman High School. Obviously Matt McLean of UCLA. Now we've got Nick McLean coming out there, also committed to UCLA, making some noise.
Yeah, man, he was, one of 2 guys that improved his 60 time. The second time he ran it, we offered them that opportunity. He ran a 6.85 after posting a 6.91. He destroyed balls from both sides. The left-handed swing, something he's only been doing for about, a year, maybe a little bit less than that. It's money, dude. It is money. There's power to it, especially to the pull side. And one little note on him at the end, he was the last batter of the event. I was walking in from the outfield, and he was walking to the plate, and apparently he called his shot, and he darn near pulled it off. He went off the fence in right center field, and I was walked up to him, and he's angry, and that's when he had told me he had called it. So, real competitive player, man. He's going to be a good one. The bat is exceptional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, McLean reminds me kind of the Nick York type where, hey, the scouts in California know this guy's going to rake. And the more you see him, it's there. 6.85, great 60, but it's not like he's running 6.3 or 6.4. But switch hitter who can really hit. Brother was a first rounder at UCLA. I think he's got a chance for some helium. But this Josh Randall kid, it sounds like he might have been the biggest helium guy from the event.
Yeah, we had him at future games last year, and he pitched, and he hit, and he caught, and he was really good at all 3 of them. He told me, because the first thing I said to him when I saw him was, man, he looked phenomenal, and he says, man, I changed my diet, I've been working out. He's lost 10 pounds, but he's added 15 pounds of muscle, and he just looks phenomenal, right? And what does he do? He goes out, he has the number 1 exit velo at 104. On TrackMan, his blast numbers are ridiculous. He's the top guy in 3 or 4 categories. He's got a lot of athleticism behind the plate now, 195 to 205 on his pop times. fastball to 92, but I mean, he averaged almost 22 inches of induced vertical break on that. And the slider averaged 2,700 RPM. So where do you go with him? I don't know, but you want that guy on your roster is all I know.
Yeah, you certainly do. Obviously, in SoCal, there's a lot of players to be seen, a lot of ground to cover all over, that region. But it sounds like there's going to be a one-stop shop up at Thousand Oaks with Rock Riggio and Max Muncy next year. Yeah,
and you can throw Charlie Somm in there, too. He didn't make this list today, but he did pretty well at the Procase as well. But Riggio came out, and I mean, he did what Riggio does. He hit really well, he threw really well, he played really good defense. So I mean, he just continues on that upward trajectory. But for me, the biggest winner, if you will, is Max Muncy. I mean, the Arkansas commit he started off with a 6.8, he had a 103 exit velo, 87 on the infield. He hit the game's only home run, something we tweeted out last week. Mm-hmm. It was just a nuke to right center field. Just a great kid. I must have told him probably a dozen times throughout the day, never change, Muntz, and you just got this big smile. But quick story on that homer, Doe was umpiring behind the mound there, and he chucked his swing, and Doe rang him up, and I overruled him from the dugout. Very next pitch, he hits the bomb, so he comes into the dugout, and I look at him, and I'm like, "Hey, Muntz, you're welcome." And he just had this huge grin on his face, man. It was hilarious. But like Blaine says, that's the best part of this job, right? Is being on the field with those guys and getting to learn a little bit about them. So.
And that Thousand Oak team's going to be really good because Charlie Somm, huge fan. He's a top 100 national guy for us. But Riggio, I think it's going to really help that he's in Southern California. If he's a northern hitter, you don't see him quite as much. But the track record's there. He's really hit at a national stage, has no issue handling big arms. And then Muncy, the premier shortstop in this class, coming out of Southern California, obviously he's going to have a ton of eyes on him, can really pick it too. I mean, we didn't even talk that much about the defense, but it's some real special hands too, and he can hit. SoCal guys, they always play SoCal shortstops.
They certainly do. So there's a look at a handful of the guys from the SoCal Procase. Les, I imagine you guys are going to have tons of coverage coming out on the website here pretty soon.
Yeah, man, we're going to drop a quick hits today, just a little quick chat about a lot of these guys. We'll be dropping, all sorts of content over the next, 2-3 weeks on this, because we're going to go really in depth and kind of try to do, a first kind of scouting draft report, if you will, on these guys, and update those things as they continue on in the fall and the winter, and hopefully into next spring.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to reading all of it. So, as always, for Shooter Hunt and Les Lukach, I'm Nathan Rohde. This was Coffee and Curveballs, and until next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.